Welcome to a new edition of the Famous Interviews with Joe Dimino. On this episode, we talk with proud founder and president of Wagner HR, Jacquiline Wagner. As the leader of her human resources consulting enterprise, she uniquely understands the training and human resources needed of small business owners, employees, and supervisors. For 25 years, she has enjoyed the honor of training and consulting with thousands of workers in an assortment of industries concerning all aspects of employment law, human resources, diversity, equity, inclusion, and belonging, business acumen, emotional intelligence, professional development, continuing education, and leadership. It's a whole lot. Enjoy this story.
Cool. Well, hey, thank you for taking a minute after the show. I appreciate it.
Sure.
Where are you located?
Los Angeles.
Cool. Well, I'm in the middle of the country. I'm in Kansas City, Missouri. So.
Oh, well, hello from to the Midwest.
Yes, exactly. So I want to begin our conversation before we get into your world of HR by asking you, 4 years ago we were trying to figure out how we were going to get out of this pandemic and just all the ramifications of it. How did you get through that time period? And how did it change the way that you do things now?
So while I was in the pandemic, it was, as it was for most people, just gritty, and it just took a day-by-day approach. I'd like to say that I had a plan for navigating through it, but I didn't. I just white-knuckled it like most people and knew that it wasn't always going to be that way. And as I began to settle in, I actually started to enjoy it. I enjoyed having time with my family. I enjoyed, not having to have my morning routine and time on the road. I don't know what your commute looks like, but for folks in Los Angeles, your commute is up to an hour every day. And not having to do that, I started to really embrace it. And I look back on it as one of the greatest times of my career.
So let's get a handle on exactly what you do on a daily basis. I'm going to put you in front of a bunch of third graders. It's career day. And one of the kids is curious and says, "Hey, what do you do for a living?" How do you answer that child?
So I help business owners, employers, supervisors, and human resources professionals reduce the risk of getting sued by its employees. And I have 4 pillars to prevent that: employee handbooks, workplace investigations, training, and conflict resolution. And I emphasize emotional intelligence. I teach leaders to cultivate their own emotional intelligence to maximize the human potential of the folks they lead and reduce the risk of their employment litigation.
So what did you want to be in the third grade? What was your dream?
In the third grade, I think I couldn't see beyond being a pop star or something like that. I initially wanted to be a psychologist by the time I was in middle school. And then when I took my first political science class in college, it was love at first sight, and I knew exactly what I wanted to do.
So take me back to the beginnings of your life, where you were born and raised, and what were some of these seeds that were planted into you that made you so sure about your career paths and how you've evolved into your role today?
So my mom was my mom based on her socioeconomic status and the era in which she grew up. College education was not afforded to her, and it was she didn't have access to that. And she made it pretty much her life's mission to ensure that my brother and I would go to college. And that's really as far as she could see, getting a college degree. But once I was in that culture and climate at university, I knew that I didn't want to just stop with the degree, and I wanted to go farther. And then when I was in the culture and climate of the political science arena, among other similarly driven students, I realized that was my trajectory. And I think I kind of stupefied. My parents, I come from a blue-collar background. You know, when I said I wanted to go to law school, that was well far beyond their vision for me. And my goal in life is to set up for generations, you know, having gotten up and out myself, to set up generational wealth for my progeny, and make sure that no one ever has to work with their body ever again, unless they want to, like a yoga instructor or whatever. But unless you want to, you never have to deplete your own body to make a living ever again.
So who's been kind of an inspiration or a hero for you in your life? Who have you looked up to that's given you fuel for what you've accomplished?
My father. My father was a deliveryman. He delivered furniture and appliances for my entire childhood. And he used his body to, literally sacrificing his body to put me through private school, as a Catholic school, as a young person, and really never did anything for himself. He was completely dedicated to his family, and he is the reason I have the work ethic I do. Watching him do whatever it took to put food on the table and his children educated, I admire so much. And he gave me a lot of wisdom through the years. You know, you would think that a blue-collar deliveryman would have nothing to impart on a white-collar lawyer daughter, but that just isn't the case. He gave me lots of great nuggets through the years that I call on periodically when I need inspiration.
So let me ask you this. If you could meet anybody alive on the planet right now that you find fascinating, who would you love to meet and talk to?
I probably would like to have met with Nelson Mandela. I think he had the grit and wherewithal to see through such a difficult life and get to the other side and lead a country through, you know, such an adverse background, and to shine through and lead a country that was really broken and to kind of mend fences. I really admire his ability to do that. And I think he was exceptionally emotionally intelligent, and I just really admire his ability to do that.
So what is that drive for you in your career? What gets you up every day? What motivates you to help others, to accomplish what you want to get done and evolve yourself as a human?
So my North Star, more than anything else in my deepest core self, is that I want to ensure that generations to come are not relegated to having to work with their bodies. I watched my father deplete his own body through the years, and recognizing that education is the ticket to up and out. If I can impart that on your listeners at all, that is so important, to educate for education's sake, and it will improve your life exponentially. I still take courses. I still learn. I'm a lifelong learner. And to ensure that I have lifted the socioeconomic status of my family single-handedly for generations to come is my North Star.
So in your career so far, what's been one of your favorite success stories, or maybe a period of time that you grew the most because of things that might have been magnanimous or things that were really, you know, really made you grow? Was there a time period like that for you?
The law has always been sort of a shoehorned effect, because I come from a blue-collar background and did not know in my childhood anyone who went to college, let alone law school. I had no exposure whatsoever. It's been a difficult row to hoe. And I think through adversity, I have grown, having to face situations on a daily basis that I have no experience navigating. And that has grown, and being able to come out successfully on the other side has grown my self-efficacy exponentially. I've been practicing now for 25 years, and to have the ability to successfully navigate through difficult situations or things for which I have no experience, and seeing that I can handle it, has grown my self-efficacy enormously.
So let's say you have a dream tonight. You run into, the 18-year-old version of you after you graduated from high school, and you could give that young version of you a piece of advice based on the life you've led, the wisdom you've gained along the way. What advice would you give that young version of you?
So for your female listeners, your female straight listeners, I would say to decentralize the attention toward and attention from romantic partners. Not to thwart them or to not have them, but to decentralize them and to focus on career, amassing property, real estate, and focusing on growing your own empire and letting romantic interests be secondary rather than primary. Some of the places where I stumbled the most in my life's trajectory was centralizing the attention of romantic partners, making life decisions that didn't align with what I wanted for my own career. And I think as women, we are encouraged to do that, to centralize marriage and children over our own careers. And I don't think that is any longer timely. I think that we can postpone marriage and family as long as we'd like. There are amazing advances in adoption or IVF or what have you, so that you can postpone it and pay attention to your own career in a way that straight men have been able to do for centuries. And I'm really grateful that things have changed. But if I were to talk to my 18-year-old self, that would be the advice, is to decentralize romantic notions and centralize career aspirations.
So when you look back on your career and your life in general, what are you the proudest of? Of everything that you've done and evolved into, what are you ultimately the proudest of?
I'm proudest that I have led the charge for my entire family to, in one generation, transform from blue-collar physical labor to white-collar, high-level career trajectory. My brother followed in my footsteps. My nieces and nephews, my children, it would not even occur to them to do physical labor. And I'm not demeaning physical labor. I am the product of good, solid physical labor, and I am grateful. But it does deplete the body, and my father's proof of that, and he would underscore what I'm saying. But I am the one who changed the trajectory, and I'm very, very proud of that.
So let me ask you this. If we get off this call here and a time machine pulls up and you could go anywhere in the history of time and see one event, where would you love to go and witness with your own eyes?
The future.
Okay.
I want to see what the future holds. I want to see what the future holds in terms of technology, AI, spirituality. What does the future look like? Longevity, health span. What does all of that look like? Are people living until they're 200, 300 years old because we have such advances in technology? Are people, is cancer eradicated? Are people entitled to live out a life of true freedom because we have a longer lifespan? I'm really excited about the advances technology are affording us in terms of our health span and in terms of, you know, what all of that could hold. Dementia is being tackled, cancer is being tackled, AI is being leveraged. I'm really, really excited about that. So I would go to the future.
So everyone out there, Jacqueline, they have a perception of you, family, friends, clients, colleagues, but you run the show. What's ultimately your perception of you? Who do you think you are?
I think I'm someone who wants to run the show. I think you're right. I think I project an image of having, running the show. I mean, of course, I stumble a little bit and stub my toe here and there, but I think that, you know, I am pretty confident. I have really strong self-efficacy, but inside there's that little girl's voice who isn't quite sure the path that she's taking is appropriate or accurate. And, you know, there are insecurities there. So I would impart to your listeners that even that, you know, that voice that's telling you, you don't know what you're doing. What are you doing? You don't know how to do this. Just give up. Don't listen to her. You know, keep moving forward, even when you're not sure, even when you don't know, even when you're worried or scared. Keep going, because you're going to be going through it anyway. You're going to keep advancing forward anyway. You might as well do it scared.
So, Jacqueline, if anyone wants to reach out, learn more about you, any of the good business that's going on in your world, where is the best place to go?
The best place to reach me is to go on my website, which is www.wagner, W-A-G-N-E-R, Wagner, H-R, as in human resources, wagnerhr.com.
Wonderful. Jacqueline, this has been great. Thank you so much for opening up. Thank you for your time today. Keep doing the exceptional work. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thanks for tuning in to another famous interview with Joe Dimino, where we cover the world of art, literature, business, spirituality, music, and more from around the globe. Our esteemed theme music was composed and produced by the great E.E. Pointer of Kansas City's River Cow Orchestra. If you want to hear more interviews, visit the Famous Interviews with Joe Dimino channel on YouTube. You can also find us on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. Thanks again for listening, and until next time.